Good afternoon, everyone. I am Zil Bharat, and in the paper, the 20th century literature, 1900 to World War II, I am going to present modernism in the Great Gatsby. This is my information, and the content we are going to deal in this presentation is what is modernism, Fitzgerald, a modernist, modernism in the Great Gatsby, and conclusion. Starting with the, the explanation of the term by M.H. Abraham in the glossary of the literary term. The term modernism is widely used to identify new and distinctive features in the subjects, forms, concepts, and styles of literature and the other art in the early decades of the 20th century, but especially after World War One. Modernist movement originated in the 19th century and early 20th century after World War One. After World War One, the society was in the horror still due to all the effect of World War One. The technology was advancing, the globalization was happening, and all the new society was emerging, and which gave rise to the reassessment of the society. And this reassessment made the writers think to write something new about their society instead of the traditional way of writing. So basically, modernism is breaking the traditional way of life or writing and bringing something new in writing and way of life. Fitzgerald as a modernist. Fitzgerald frequently visited Europe and was befriended with the artists who were among the lost generation, which inspired him to the write the genre of modernism. The novels of Fitzgerald were satiric and were rejecting to the ideas of love, success, and happiness. He blended the intense symbolism and figurative language of modernism. The Great Gatsby, the Great Gatsby explores the emptiness of material wealth and the death of American dream, perfect depiction of the jazz age and the post-war situation in 1920s. These are the characteristics of modernist movement or a modern age. Blend imagery and themes, absurdism, non-linear narratives, stream of consciousness, individualism, experimentation, symbolism, absurdity, formalism. Modernism in the Great Gatsby. The novel Great Gatsby is a modernist novel because it uses various modernist techniques like loss of control, alienation, corruption of the American dream, breaking societal rules, restlessness, and fragmented writing. The major three modernity we find in the novel, we will discuss that first. Modernity in the narration technique. The narration in the novel is first person narration, which provides very limited perception towards the novel. It gives us insight into the novel through one single window. We think, see, and understand only through the one person, and in this novel, the narrator is Nick Carraway, through whom we are thinking, seeing, and understanding the situations happening in the novel. The difference in the traditional narration and the modern narration is in the traditional novels, the narrator was omniscient narrator, a godlike who knew everything about all the characters, all the situation, and the mindset of all the characters. While in the modern, this method of narration was completely broken. We get incomplete information in the narration if we don't question through different perspectives, and it provides only single window view. The another modernity in the narration we see in this novel is second degree narrator. Nick Carraway was not present during the love affair of Daisy and Gatsby, and even not present during the childhood of Gatsby. These things of Gatsby's life were narrated by the John Baker and Henry C. Katz, father of Gatsby. This type of narration is known as meta-digesis narration. Then another modernity is seen in the opening of the character. Throughout the novel, we see some mystical aura around the character. The character is revealed. The real face of the character is known at the end or very later when we are reading. For example, if we take the character of a Gatsby, in the beginning, we don't know whether he is an ethical man or not. At the end, we realize that he is a wealthy man, but through bootlegging, which is not ethical in the life, and which is known very later in the novel that the character is not the way we thought in the beginning or way we read about him in the beginning. Then modernity is symbols is it. There are three symbols we are discussing: the eyes of Eckelberg, green light, and the valley of ashes. The eyes of Eckelberg is a billboard which are symbolic to the eyes of God. If we see in the traditional novel or a narration, the eyes of God is an abstract thing, and we talk about someone is saying, we don't have anything symbolic that this thing is looking after us. But here, billboard in the technological era, in the time of globalization, billboard is symbol is used as a symbolic as the eyes of God. Then green light. Light came into existence after technology. Here, green light is used as a symbol of hope. While in the traditional writing, we see hope is a rising of sun or something new. A new year is seen as a hope. Valley of ashes is seen as moral and social decay. If we go to the traditional literary work or a narration, we see the moral and social decay through some incidents happening in the life of the people. But here, the Valley of Ashes, plight of the poor, is a symbolic to moral and social decay. Other supplementary modernist technique in the novel are loss of control and restlessness, which is seen in the character of Tom Buchanan. He loses his control when he is having an apartment party with Mrs. Martell, and Mrs. Martell is taking the name of Daisy in spite of refusal of a Tom, and Tom slaps to Martell, which shows his loss of control and restlessness when the accident happened by the Daisy, and Wilson was having doubt, but Tom gave in a restless mood. He blamed to Gatsby that Gatsby is the one who did an accident. Then uncertainty and alienation is seen in Daisy Buchanan. Daisy was uncertain about having relationship with whom, Gatsby, an emotional relationship, or to secure herself with wealth with Tom. And alienation is seen. She is having a happy married family. She is having a daughter. She is still she feels alone, and she is going towards the Gatsby for emotional relationship. Then disillusionment, corruption of American dream, breaking societal rules, and restlessness is also seen in Jay Gatsby's character. Jay Gatsby is breaking the societal rules of a structured family and moving towards the city, leaving his rural family and becoming wealthy and losing the family and trying to make a fake fame, fake standard of life. Then fragmented writing and non-linear narrative, which we have seen in the narration technique, is also a modernist technique used in this novel. These all were the techniques which we saw in the novel through reading. But in the end of the novel, in chapter 9, we also get a reference of a Spanish modernist painter, El Greco, a 16th century painter. Nick Carraway is taking the reference of this painting. This painting's original name is View of Toledo, but Nick is using night painting of El Greco. He uses this painting's reference while he is talking about the East Egg because he is looking at the East Egg as a place of distortion. After the Gatsby's death, he is in trauma and thinks that East Egg is the reason for the Gatsby's death. In the conclusion, I would like to conclude with the write-up of Hugh Holman. Modernism is a strong and conscious break with traditional forms and techniques of expression. Modern implies a historical discontinuity, a sense of alienation, of loss, and of despair. It not only rejects history but also the society of whose fabrication history is a record. This quote is completely applicable to the novel, which we discussed as a modernist novel. These are my work cited. Thank you.
The questions. So who is asking first? Vachalta, okay.
Zil, what is non-linear narration?
A linear narration which takes for example, if we are taking a example of a character of a Gatsby, we get to know about his present, then future, and then past. Then after his death we come to know about his past. That is a non-linear. Linear is we come to know from childhood, then his teenage, then youth, then old age, and then his death. But here we don't get linear narration or linear information about Gatsby. First, we get to know about the present, being a wealthy person. Then we come to know about his youth time when he was with Dan Cody. Then we come to know about the childhood, how he studied, and the way he used to live his life. Then it creates a non-linear narration. We don't get anything in the line or a connection.
Is Janvi, you have not typed your question? Yes, type yours so I can display the question. And we also can know whether you know the correct English or not. So there was enough time to do that. So everybody be careful when your turn comes. Those were the instructions given before we started live streaming, so that during live streaming we don't have to pinpoint all these things, and it is not recorded, or people who are watching, they may say that what kind of students are there, that such simple things also needs to be repeated time and again. And we have to learn, this is a process of learning how to ask questions, how to improve the language of asking questions. Interrogative sentences are to be prepared, which is not an easy task. Though it is a school grammar, but still even college or postgraduate students are not good in simple sentences, interrogative sentences also, okay? So by the time Janvi is typing the question, we have to keep on speaking something. If things are going live, you can't make things go very silent. You have to say something. So in presentation, there are multiple things which are aimed at, multiple learning objectives we are aiming at. It is not only that you make slides or you face a camera or we do live streaming. It's not only technology. There is lots of language component which we are aiming to teach or to learn, which normally you are not able to see. You are not able to see the language part that we are working on to improve. You are able to see only the technology part, and you have just concentrated that there is a stream yard. At the end of the day, you will remember stream yard. You will not remember what is interrogative sentence. You will not remember how we work on how to frame better questions, how to do better citations. Lots of things are there, but somehow what we have experienced is that students remember technology more, not the language or literature part, and which is something that we have to keep on pinpointing, that it is not only StreamYard, it is just the sadhan, as Nimesh has very rightly said yesterday, that it is just a vehicle which is very glamorous. So we are attracted more towards the vehicle rather than what we have to do. And language, literature, citations, research based writing, that is missed out from your feedback, from your thinking, from your imagination. So when you sit down to do something very creative, that doesn't strike you. It is not striking you that, well, this also is a part of our study. This also should become somewhere a kind of a symbol of representing the totality of our activities. Okay, okay, so Janvi has typed the question. Now you can. Yes.
How did F. Scott Fitzgerald impact modernism?
Uh, Modernism is a movement which was going in the society. So I feel that Fitz, Fitzgerald didn't impact modernism, but Fitzgerald was under the impact of modernism. And through his writing, he was trying to show, through using the modern techniques, he was showing us the society in his work.